When getting injured while playing most sports, you tend to sit out, right? Well, when you get injured as a cheerleader, that's not always the case. This and many more reasons what makes competitive cheerleading a sport. Traveling to competitions throughout the years, long hours of practices, the cost, and even the way that they treat injuries like it's nothing is what makes cheerleading a sport more than any other. The blood, sweat, and tears that come from long hours of practices for competition are what makes cheerleading. I will be providing information and personal experience on this topic. Cheerleading is not just a sport, but it's more than that, and today I'm going to tell you how. One reason it's a sport is because of how much they travel for competitions. Just like any other sport, such as baseball, basketball, football, or gymnastics, they travel throughout the world too. Cheer comps are held worldwide, and not just people from the U.S. attend them. There are big worldwide competitions, and the major one is NCAA, which is held in Dallas, Texas, and it has about 25,000 athletes and 38,000 spectators a year. This same competition is held in Daytona, Florida, but for college athletes, and it holds about the same amount of people a year too. There are divisions such as extra small co-ed, junior co-ed, small co-ed, large co-ed, medium co-ed, small all-girl, large all-girl, and even mini teams for like 5-year-olds. There are over 50 gyms that include at least one or two of these divisions. Cheerleaders practice just as much, even longer than most sports. Navarro, for example, practices twice a day on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The first practice would be about 2.5 hours on a Tuesday. That includes just working on skills and jumps, and then the second practice would be working on stuff like pyramid or the elite, or working better on the stunts. And some Navarro athletes also practice twice a day, but for All-Star and Navarro, and so they would be going to the 2.5 hour Navarro practice and then going to a 3.5 hour cheer or All-Star cheer practice, doing hard stuff throughout all of them. By the end of the week, they would be practicing about 30 hours a day, maybe even more. It's true that most sports may practice this much throughout the week, but cheerleaders don't really have a free time with this kind of schedule. Me, for example, I've seen how I don't really get to use my phone as much anymore, and I don't get the time to do what I used to do, such as go on TikTok or even start new TV shows, because I'm always either working or doing some kind of cheer practice. Throughout all of these practices as well, some cheerleaders are practicing through very serious or minor injuries. My last point would be that an injury for a cheerleader is like a paper cut. Through all the blood, sweat, and tears, it takes a lot for them to sit out. There are girls and guys that have gone to competitions in boots and casts, and they didn't let them phase them, and they still were able to compete. For example, there's a girl on my All-Star team that just recently broke her arm, but she never stopped tumbling, she had to stop stunting, but she never had to stop tumbling because she was able to push through it. There's also a guy on Navarro that recently broke his ankle, and he was in a boot, and he never stopped tumbling or stunting, and he was just practicing normal. And I personally I'm always having some kind of injury, and I am able to push through. Last year I was in a boot and I still competed, and I just taped my ankle, and this year I hurt my wrist, but I still never stopped, and I practiced and competed normally. Most athletes say if you can keep going, then why stop? There are athletes that may choose to sit out, but if another athlete from a different sport had the same injury, they probably wouldn't. They would most likely be sitting out less than the other one would be. In conclusion, cheer is a sport because of how far they travel for competitions, how long they practice, and how they treat injuries like it's nothing and push through them.